Tonight, a horrifying scene in downtown Vancouver. Multiple people injured and a suspect shot dead by police.
He just got up his knife and trying to stab them.
Officers with their guns drawn inside a 7-Eleven convenience store. The terrifying moments captured by a witness. What we know about how it all unfolded. No more free carry-on bags for some Air Canada passengers.
I don't agree with that because you pay enough for the fare to begin with.
Why the cheapest ticket is going to cost you. And another blast of wintry weather across parts of Canada.
We've been digging for probably about 5 days straight now.
Is this a sign of the season to come?
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. One of the busiest streets in downtown Vancouver is a crime scene tonight. 2 people injured and a suspect shot and killed by police. So staff at this 7-Eleven called police just before noon after a man pulled a knife. When officers arrived, they found 2 people wounded. The confrontation with the suspect ended in a fatal barrage of gunfire. Mira Baines has the story, including video of the moment police opened fire, which some may find hard to watch.
In broad daylight, a shocking act of violence in downtown Vancouver with 2 people injured and a suspect shot dead by police. Witnesses say they watched it all unfold.
He was trying to steal maybe cigarettes or something. Then he just got up his knife and trying to stab them.
I could tell from the rush of the officers that it was something major, and the area around the store was chaotic.
What happened when police arrived is disturbing to watch.
Move over! Right now!
In this witness video, police appear to fire 9 shots. At least 2 people were taken away on stretchers. Police confirm 1 person had facial injuries and another stab wounds to their hand. Vancouver police say officers received a 911 call from a restaurant across the street about a man who had stolen alcohol and was armed with a knife.
Officers responded immediately and located the suspect inside the 7-Eleven convenience store just right across the street here. The suspect was then shot by police.
It comes after other high-profile acts of violence. In March, a brazen targeted shooting just up Robson Street. 2 masked gunmen opened fire on an SUV. Then in September, a suspect with a knife cut off a man's hand and killed another outside Queen Elizabeth Theatre in a random attack. These incidents all clustered in a very small area, right in the heart of Vancouver's downtown core, just a few blocks apart and close to BC Place Stadium, Main Library, and busy Robson Street. This former police chief says more arrests alone can't solve the problem.
Frustrated simply because the lack of policy by our politicians to address the frequency of these incidents happening in public spaces.
There are still questions over exactly what led to the attack. The Independent Investigations Office of BC has also been called in to examine the actions of police and their use of force.
Adrian, police say the 2 who are taken from the scene with injuries are expected to recover.
So, Mira, as you said, this violence downtown has really been a concern for months and probably even more so now.
Yeah, right now we don't know what drove this, whether it was mental health or addictions. And this is happening with thousands from all over converging nearby for the Taylor Swift concerts.
All right, Mira Baines in Vancouver. Police in New York City are also dealing with the disturbing attack. The CEO of a major health insurance company shot and killed on the sidewalk outside a Manhattan hotel this morning. Cam McIntosh now with the moments leading up to the shooting.
Police calling it targeted and brazen. The shooting happened at dawn in Midtown Manhattan. Surveillance video clearly shows a masked gunman walking up behind a man and firing. We're not showing the moment where the victim was hit. This man saw it.
He was here in this corner the whole night. Yeah.
Who was on the corner?
The guy who shot the guy.
Was standing across the street?
He's standing here, this corner.
He was whisked away and questioned by police, who later said there was nothing random about the shooting.
At this time, every indication is that this was a premeditated, pre-planned, targeted attack.
The victim, 50-year-old Brian Thompson, was CEO of United Healthcare, the insurance arm of the U.S.'s largest healthcare company. Flags at its Minnesota headquarters lowered. Thompson was killed outside the hotel where he was to speak Wednesday morning at the company's annual meeting.
Many people passed the suspect, but he appeared to wait for his intended target. The suspect fled, first on foot, then on an e-bike, and was last seen in Central Park on Center Drive early this morning.
Police released these surveillance images, including of the shooter getting away on that e-bike. They also say a cell phone was found at the scene. Crime analysts say it all has the makings of a professional hit.
The fact that the shooter used a suppressor and shot accurately from 20 feet, those things are marks of professionals, or at least somebody who is extremely skilled.
Thompson didn't appear to have security. His wife told NBC News he had received some threats, but the motivations of the shooter are just one of many questions in a stunning crime. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The FBI says it is investigating a series of apparent drone sightings in central New Jersey.
This is over my house right now. What is that?
Several residents report seeing the mysterious drones almost every night for weeks now. They appear larger than typical commercial or hobby drones. Several are often seen flying together. Police say there's no known threat to the public, but their unexplained nature and their proximity to Donald Trump's Bedminster golf course have raised concerns. Well, Air Canada is scrapping free carry-on bags for some of its cheapest tickets. Those passengers will now have to check that luggage and pay up. As Nisha Patel tells us, this comes as other countries are cracking down on airline fees.
Carry-on bags used to be free. Soon, some of the cheapest Air Canada tickets won't allow carry-on at all.
It defeats the purpose of the economy ticket.
I don't agree with that because you pay enough for the fare to begin with.
Starting January 3rd, passengers who book a basic economy fare on some routes will only be allowed one personal item, like a purse or a laptop bag. Anything larger must be checked before security for $35. At the gate, that cost goes up to $65.
North American carriers in particular are doing this in order to be able to offer a range of alternatives to customers.
Earlier this year, WestJet announced an ultra-basic ticket with no carry-ons. Porter, Flair, and Sunwing have similar fare options. Air Canada is also adding a new fee. Basic fare passengers will be automatically assigned a seat and will have to pay if they want to change it. This airline expert thinks the industry is pushing it.
This is big dollars. This is this is part of a multi-billion-dollar basket of revenues that we call ancillary fees, and the airlines know there's no additional cost.
Around the world, regulators are taking notice. U.S. senators grilled officials from 5 airlines Wednesday, calling their fees unfair.
The current practices, they simply won't fly anymore.
In November, the Spanish government said carry-on bag charges violated consumers' rights and fined several budget airlines nearly $200 million.
I think that the time has come for Canadians to kind of say enough is enough.
After Air Canada's announcement, Transport Minister Anita Anand wrote that she was extremely concerned. The concern for passengers, what will they be charged for next? Nisha Patel, CBC News, Toronto.
Environment Canada is predicting this winter is going to feel more like a real Canadian winter. And as Lisa Xing shows us, for the Ontario town of Gravenhurst, still under a lot of snow and a state of emergency, that's no surprise.
It's been 5 days now of non-stop shoveling.
It's in probably 2 to 3 times a day. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we shoveled Saturday, we shoveled twice. And within 12 hours, we probably had another 3 feet on the driveway.
That work continues as Ontario's cottage country is hit with another bout of winter weather. Despite the challenges, traffic is flowing again for the most part, and most now have electricity after almost 1.5 meters of snow fell on the region over the weekend, shutting down the main highway for days and immobilizing emergency services.
Things are improving every hour.
Gravenhurst's mayor says the state of emergency she called will be in place for a while longer.
You know, we live up here because we are hardy people. We like the snow. We like to enjoy the outdoors. But this is a little more than we bargained for.
Winter weather is back for many parts of the country. Snow in Edmonton, freezing temps in Saskatoon. Environment Canada forecasts it's likely there will be more precipitation in some places, at least in December. The areas of higher than average expected snowfall, spanning Western Canada, parts of the Arctic, stretching all the way to northwestern Ontario. That leaves this snowboard and ski shop owner optimistic.
By grace, hope season get more snow in the winter.
The forecast also shows higher than normal temperatures in most areas of the country.
While all in all, it might actually turn out to be milder than normal, I think it is going to feel like more of a typical winter for many people.
That's because last winter was the warmest on record, bringing hardly any snow or the usual frigid temperatures. But now in Gravenhurst, some are making the most of it.
We've been digging for probably about 5 days straight now, and we're finally out. He requested to go tobogganing today, so we're putting a little bit of time in for his birthday.
Adrian, the snow is still falling here in Gravenhurst. It has been coming down all day, and to give you a sense of how much has fallen since the weekend, you can take a look at that snowbank right there.
Okay, well, clearly it's not letting up, but is there any indication of easier days ahead?
Not in the immediate future. So there's going to be more snow tonight, up to 4 centimeters worth. Nothing like it was compared with this past weekend, but there will be more shoveling and more plowing ahead. Adrian?
All right, Lisa Shing in Gravenhurst. In Pennsylvania, an urgent search for a woman thought to be trapped in a sinkhole has turned into a recovery effort. Authorities say she fell down the freshly opened hole 2 days ago while looking for her cat, but they don't expect the 64-year-old to be alive now. Conditions are too unstable to send in rescuers underground, so audio and video equipment is being used. Sinkholes are not uncommon in that area as it is dotted with old mine shafts. Well, the future of South Korea's president remains uncertain tonight. He is now facing an impeachment vote for his attempt to impose martial law. As Sarah Levitt shows us, protesters and some lawmakers just want him to resign.
For a second day, protesters took to the streets of Seoul, marching towards South Korea's presidential office. I came in the hopes of bringing down Yoon Suk-yeol, this protester says, the Korean president who had just plunged his country into a tumultuous crisis. On Tuesday night, he suddenly declared martial law, claiming it was to eliminate shameless pro-North Korean anti-state forces. Less than 3 hours later, after an intense face-off with armed troops, lawmakers forced their way into the National Assembly to vote against what they saw as a power grab. By 4 a.m., martial law was lifted, but all day, protesters stayed out, calling for Yoon's arrest. Then, in the early hours of Thursday morning, a motion to have Yoon impeached. The martial law was a moment of military treason, this lawmaker says. Yoon isn't the only one under fire. Thursday, he accepted the resignation of the defense minister. What wider impact could this political chaos have in terms of the world?
Our Russian and our North Korean friends are delighted to see what's happened, and they'll try and use even the period of intermission between Biden and Trump to mess up the place.
This is one of our closest partners and allies around the world.
And yet the U.S. acknowledges it was not aware Yoon would declare martial law.
In our judgment, any political disagreements need to be resolved peacefully and in accordance with the rule of law.
The spotlight remains on Yoon. According to South Korean media reports, the impeachment vote will happen Saturday, one that may lead to his dismissal from office. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
Donald Trump has nominated Peter Navarro, who was released from prison 5 months ago, as his top trade advisor. Navarro is a veteran of Trump's first administration and a strong advocate for tariffs. He was jailed for refusing to give testimony to the congressional investigation into the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. In a social media post announcing the appointment, Trump said Navarro was, quote, treated horribly by the deep state, or whatever else you'd like to call it. Millions of people in Cuba are without power tonight after another collapse of the island's national electrical grid. The capital of Havana, almost entirely in the dark to start the day. It's the latest in a string of blackouts this fall amid fuel shortages, natural disasters, and an economic crisis. The communist-run government says it is prioritizing hospitals and schools and expects the system to be back online by Thursday. The Assembly of First Nations has voted to reject a nearly $50 billion deal with Ottawa to reform the child welfare system on reserve. Olivia Stefanovich explains why members want to renegotiate.
The Assembly of First Nations grand entry made it clear the focus of their 3-day meeting was children.
Because too many First Nations children continue to be taken from their families and their communities.
Years of negotiations with Ottawa had resulted in a federal offer worth $47.8 billion to reform First Nations child welfare.
So he's defeated.
In October, the AFN rejected it.
The money on that proposed final settlement agreement is not going to take care of all our children. So we need a new agreement that is going to take care of all of our children.
Our children get apprehended daily, like every day.
That deal didn't include those who live off reserve.
But for them not to be compensated is actually, it's discrimination at its finest.
We need something that will stand the test of time because our children deserve that.
It was also limited to 10 years.
I would ask that our technicians please close the voting.
On Wednesday, chiefs cited those reasons for their decision to once again reject that federal offer.
The lesson is that First Nations and their experts, they're going to do their homework. They're going to look at anything that's presented before them, and they're going to make the very best decision they can for their kids.
Chiefs also voted to bring in Cindy Blackstock, the longtime First Nations child advocate, to help negotiate a new deal, no matter how long it takes.
It doesn't matter what political stripe is sitting in Parliament. They're going to be accountable.
The Conservatives haven't promised any child welfare funding, and as the clock ticks towards a federal election, it remains to be seen whether a new deal with the Liberals can be reached. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Ottawa.
The French president's far-right rival has succeeded in toppling the government.
I think her real aim is to corner Macron into resigning.
How the ousting of the prime minister could impact all of Europe. Plus, are students becoming more rude?
We're noticing an increase in disruptive behaviors.
Why more kids are acting up. And a dazzling sight from the International Space Station.
Makes it look like a star or a planet.
We're back in 2. One of the best female pitchers on the planet is coming to Toronto. Ayami Sato will be the first woman to play professional baseball in Canada. The Japanese pitcher is now signed to the Toronto Maple Leafs, obviously not those Leafs. This team is in the Inter-County Baseball League. The 34-year-old is a 6-time world champion. Well, France's government is in turmoil tonight. The prime minister ousted after a no-confidence vote. Chris Brown now on what could happen next in a deepening political crisis.
As Paris prepares to reopen the majestic Notre-Dame Cathedral, which almost collapsed in a fire 5 years ago, not far away was another French institution crashing and burning.
Le Premier ministre doit remettre.
Michel Barnier is now France's shortest-serving prime minister, lasting less than 3 months. after rival parties on the left and right voted to oust his government. Marine Le Pen of the far-right National Rally said the vote was necessary to end political chaos. It was President Emmanuel Macron's decision to call a snap parliamentary election for July that precipitated the current crisis as he tried to stop a far-right surge. Initially, those on the left were jubilant over their unexpected first-place finish. But despite the happy scenes, the result led to political paralysis, with no bloc strong enough to command a majority. Macron eventually chose Brexit negotiator Barnier, a conservative, to be prime minister, and he implored parliamentarians to support his debt-fighting budget. This observer says this defeat comes at a terrible time for Europe.
Germany is in a deep political crisis and waiting for elections in February, and Europe is faced with all sorts of really crucial decisions to make. But now you've got Europe's two largest economies, both suffering an economic downturn and both plunged into deep political crisis.
For Le Pen, who's in the midst of a criminal trial, the no-confidence vote is a gamble.
I think her real aim is to corner Macron into resigning.
World leaders, including Donald Trump, are showing up in Paris this weekend for the grand reopening. The big question now is, who will Macron choose as France's next prime minister to greet everyone and to try to resolve the political gridlock? Chris Brown, CBC News, London.
Teachers say kids are becoming more disruptive in class, and researchers say they know why.
We have to deliberately give them the opportunities to learn those social skills.
What's behind the bad behavior? Plus, Donald Trump has big plans for America.
Trump's goal is to deport every undocumented migrant in the country.
Our panel digs deeper into the implications for Canada. And Notre-Dame in Paris is about to reopen, and we have a rare first-hand look at how we got here.
This monument has a soul.
The National breaks down the stories shaping our world. Next.
Please take your time. We're going to have you go all the way down.
Taylor Swift fans are flooding downtown Vancouver ahead of the singer's final 3 shows of the Eras Tour. Many lined up for hours today to get their hands on merchandise. Security preparations are, of course, also underway, like extra fencing around BC Place. The show begins on Friday. From disruptive outbursts to endless texting, new research suggests kids are getting ruder in the classroom. Deanna Sumanek-Johnson spoke with experts about what might be fueling this bad behavior.
This researchers' work reveals pandemic school closures didn't just disrupt kids' learning. It also made them more rude.
Packing up books before a lesson is over, talking while the teacher's talking, going on your phone.
Natalie Spadafora interviewed students and teachers in Ontario in 2019 and then again in 2022. 42% of teachers surveyed reported instances of classroom incivility happening daily, compared to only 6% before the pandemic.
Individually, each behavior might not seem like that big a deal, but cumulatively, we know from teachers and students in our previous work that it is disruptive.
In Quebec, a French teachers' union surveyed around 7,000 of its members this October. 83% said they believe that rudeness has increased over the last 2 years.
We're noticing an increase in disruptive behaviors, students talking over each other, disrespectful manners, and lack of consideration also for what is being asked.
Experts say this behavior is likely linked to time spent online, which increased during the pandemic, and because some kids have not been taught that school isn't home. It has its own rules.
I think that there's a kind of lack of understanding sometimes from students about why their behavior is unacceptable. You can't make a phone call to your dad in the middle of my class, or you can't just walk out whenever you want to go get a snack.
As for solutions, this child psychiatrist says prioritizing face-to-face time with peers and adults is key.
If we live in a world where the average child is having several hours of screen time, then we have to deliberately give them the opportunities to learn those social skills and brain development that used to just be built into society.
Some even suggest classes on empathy and civility, a word that may sound quaint, but could make for a more productive learning environment. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Now it's time to dig deeper into the stories shaping our world. 5 years after Paris's famed Notre-Dame Cathedral burst into flames, its restoration is complete.
It's cleaned, but it doesn't look as something new.
A behind-the-scenes look at how they did it. But first, big promises from the incoming U.S. president.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
He's talking about millions of people, but how is that going to work, and how should Canada prepare? To untangle this, Paul Hunter is in Washington. Catherine Cullen is in Ottawa. So, Paul, day one, Donald Trump wants to launch this mass deportation program. Where does he start?
As soon as he walks into the White House on Inauguration Day, Adrian, right off the bat, he's made clear his immediate priority will be to go after migrants with criminal records and any migrant known to be or suspected to be in a gang. As he's put it, they will be hunted down and arrested. But broadly speaking, Trump's goal is to deport every undocumented migrant in the country. And there are 11 million of them. That's more than everyone in Alberta and British Columbia combined. A massive undertaking. That said, the guessing is that a realistic number is 1 million deportations per year. So how to do that? Well, there'd be mass raids, almost certainly involving municipal, state, and federal enforcement officers, likely moving in on workplaces, schools, hospitals, churches in all 50 states, and checkpoints, show me your papers kind of thing. Once found and arrested, the throngs of migrants would need some place to be held for processing. This is where the camps come in. The state of Texas has already offered up land for a giant detention camp, roughly the size of 700 football fields. Then comes that processing. Anyone who's lived in the U.S. for at least 2 years, regardless of legal status, is entitled to a deportation hearing, a day in court, as it were, for all who qualify. When that happens, and if then ordered deported, out they go. At least that's the plan. Look, Trump wants to go big on this, and he wants to go as quickly as possible. Want to know if he's serious, Adrian? Give a listen to Stephen Miller, arguably the most influential advisor to Trump on this issue. Here he is.
On day one, the southern border slams shut to illegal immigration. So all the illegal aliens all over the world who've been taking a free ride at America's expense for 4 years, guess what? You show up, you're not getting in, you're not getting through, you're not getting released, you're not going to any city anywhere in America. The only thing you're getting, courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer, is a flight back home.
Okay, tough talk. I mean, Catherine, if the Americans launch this mass deportation, and presumably it's a matter of when they launch it, is the expectation simply that there will just be a surge of people heading into Canada?
There are certainly warnings to that effect, Adrian. You talk about former federal immigration minister, former premier of Alberta, Jason Kenney has given that warning. Kelly Craft, who is Donald Trump's former ambassador to Canada, saying prepare. This country needs to be prepared for a major influx. And if that does happen, it's a challenge on a couple of fronts. Because of the Safe Third Country Agreement with the United States, anybody who wants to get into Canada and stay, they can't just come to an official border crossing. They would have to sneak across the border and stay in Canada undetected for 14 days. Now, they could, after those 14 days, then claim asylum. That is a challenge for Canada because there is a massive backlog of refugee claims. We're talking about 250,000. It would take years to process the claims that are already in the pipe. So if you add a lot of numbers to that, obviously a problem. But even if people continued to live underground, off the radar, the federal government has just cut back its own immigration targets, acknowledging them. When it comes to housing, when it comes to social services, there is a strain across the country, essentially that we are, to some extent, at capacity when it comes to taking on a greater number of new people. So add a big unexpected surge, that's a challenge on that front.
Thinking about what you just said about the rules, right, about the 14 days, I am guessing, though, that the rules as they exist now could very well change, right? We're not talking about forever rules depending on the situation. And, you know, on that note, when we're talking about numbers, if we look at what happened in Canada between 2016 and Trump's first year, when there was just a threat of mass deportations, look what happened to asylum seekers in Canada that year alone. look at that jump. That is just on the threat of deportation. So clearly the operating presumption in Ottawa is that people will come and that it will be more than a threat, that the deportations will happen. Here's what NDP leader Jagmeet Singh told reporters yesterday about border security in general and what he thinks needs to happen.
We need to immediately hire 1,100 CBSA officers just to get back to the level where we can actually do the minimum required and then look at hiring more officers to do a better job of protecting Canadians. This is not just about making sure we prevent the trade tariffs that could hurt us directly, but it's also in our interest to do this.
So, Catherine, I mean, that's what the NDP wants to happen. What are your sources telling you that the Canadian government is actually going to do?
Yeah, it's interesting, Adrian, the extent to which the Canadian government is being fairly tight-lipped about this. They say they don't want to engage in hypotheticals. At the same time, they're trying to offer assurances to Canadians that they have thought about these issues. And I have to tell you, this isn't just a conversation that's happening politically. The CBC radio show and political podcast that I host, The House, just last week we were at one of Canada's 3 immigration holding centres, and we were talking to senior officials within the Canada Border Services Agency. And we were told this question of taking on more people, be it in the holding centres, engaging in more deportations, these are things they have considered, things that they are prepared for. Of course, the government doesn't want to get things to that level, right? They want to stop people at the border and turn them around. And this is where, interestingly, Donald Trump's own interests dovetail with the Canadian government. He has been talking about drugs and human smuggling, drugs headed into the United States from Canada. And that has prompted the Canadian government to talk about how it wants to deal with the border, be it through drones, getting more helicopters, more resources on the border. All of those things would, of course, help as well if there was a surge coming in the other direction. It's really interesting, though, Adrian, to contrast this moment to 2017, a famous or infamous, depending on how you look at it, tweet from Justin Trudeau, where he said when Trump was enacting his ban of people from several majority Muslim countries, to those fleeing persecution, terror, and war, Canada will welcome you regardless of your faith. The political climate is very different now. The politics of immigration in Canada have changed. This Trump administration appears that it is going to be a very different one. Right now, the Canadian government is preparing to spend about $250,000 on ads. This is a campaign they've been doing in recent years for people who are looking up how to claim asylum in Canada, warning them there are rules. It's a complex process. You have to follow the rules if you want to come here.
Yeah, they spent a long time backpedaling from that statement a while ago. I suppose, Paul, like, Canada's in a position now of forewarned is forearmed, is making all these preparations. But bottom line, can Donald Trump actually really stage these mass deportations? Can it happen?
Yeah, it sure seems so. And look, the U.S. has done this before. Operation Wetback, for example, complete with its racist name. In the 1950s, it rounded up more than 1 million Mexicans for deportation, all in the name of protecting jobs for Americans. At the time, it was the biggest mass deportation program in American history. Trump's plan goes well beyond that. To execute it, he said he'd invoke what's called the Illegal Enemies Act from 1798, a piece of legislation meant for use during wartime. If he does that, he'd likely face court challenges. But if it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, let's not forget the makeup of the bench would seem to be in Trump's favor. The big issue is probably money. Catherine mentioned Canada's immigration system being overwhelmed. Well, same thing in the U.S. And with this program, there'd need to be all kinds of new immigration judges, new enforcement agents, staff for the camps, food and transport for the detainees. Estimates vary, but the suggestion is to deport all 11 million, let's say, be talking some $150 billion over the course of time. That would need congressional approval, but guess what? Republicans just won control of Capitol Hill. Full speed ahead for Donald Trump.
Yeah, he'd surely get that. All right, Paul Hunter, Catherine Cullen, thank you.
Thank you.
After 5 years of intense repairs, Notre-Dame is set to reopen.
When we restored, we had the opportunity to clean also and to restore.
We'll take you inside the cathedral while the work was being done. The shocking sight in the spring of 2019, one of the world's most famous churches up in flames. To restore it took more than 5 years and the efforts of nearly 1,000 workers. Now it's done, and with security in place, dignitaries from around the world descend on Paris to celebrate this weekend's reopening. Earlier this summer, I was given rare access to witness firsthand the transformational effort. Here's another look at Notre-Dame Cathedral's rise from the ashes.
So it's just about a 30-second ride. We're going roughly 55 meters up above Paris.
Come along for a rare ride to a place the world's been shut out of for 5 years.
Wow.
Think of it as a delicate patient and this construction, the critical surgery to save the very life of Notre-Dame.
Do you remember where you were the day of the fire?
I was home, and my eldest son told me, Papa, Notre-Dame is burning. And I thought it was incredible.
And I found myself in this crowd, overwhelmed and moved. The emotion was very palpable. Everyone was serious. There were people praying, people crying. It was very, very moving.
It was heart-stopping. April 15th, 2019, around 6:20 at night. Either a cigarette or an electrical short sparked a blaze in the roof. To this day, no one's sure. As it roared through the medieval structure and workers raced to save precious art and relics, firefighters had to find a way to extinguish the fire without collapsing the entire structure. The spire couldn't be saved. The roof fell in. The heart of Paris pierced. Ever since, as the repairs continue, a vigil of sorts still happens. Parisians, tourists keeping watch, capturing whatever they can from down below. And the man who talked of watching the fire that first night, of grieving, Philip Jost, is now in charge of the billion-dollar rebuilding and restoration. A man who weaves between French and English, the ancient and the new.
Ce chantier a une âme, it has a soul. The monument, this monument has a soul. It's beautiful. It's un défi, a challenge. There is a challenge. Le bois a disparu dans l'incendie.
The wood disappeared in the fire. The stones that collapsed in the fire were too weakened by the heat to be reused.
Stones don't like fire. They become very fragile. Et donc, il fallait des pierres neuves.
So new stones were needed. We had to choose quarries where we could find the same stone, and then, for the frames, we went out and chose oaks from our forests.
We choose each oak in our forest.
That carefully chosen wood from more than 1,000 oak trees for rebuilding the roof. Some of the tools crafted to be identical to the ones used 800 years ago. Blacksmiths from Canada recruited for some of the delicate forging work. On the day we're granted access, the lead panels are going back on. The ancient in conjunction with the brand new and the delicate dance of the cranes. Where possible, original parts of the cathedral have been saved, which is why you need to look up even higher.
What an astonishing place to be, and quite frankly, what an astonishing place for us to be standing. I wanted to bring you here because I want to show you something. This is La Croix de Chevet. So this amazing cross is actually the original from the Notre-Dame Cathedral, built some 800 years ago. And when the fire happened, it wasn't entirely destroyed. Instead, what happened is it fell into the debris of the fire. So as they were digging through it, they found it, and they've now lovingly restored it.
It was put back on the 24th of May. And it was a very beautiful moment for the church, but also for us, for the public establishment, to see the symbol of the cathedral come back.
That's Pauline de Montgolfier, part of the administration staff, but someone with a special connection here for all eternity.
And so that is the spire that fell down and has been rebuilt.
It's the exact same.
Because not long ago, in a ceremony, a scroll was placed into the cockerel that was raised atop the spire. That scroll holds the names of the thousands who've worked on Notre-Dame, even those who don't swing hammers.
That cockerel at the top, that has your name in it.
Yes, that's my name on it. I hope. I didn't see all the names, but
But it's all the names of the craftsmen and the workers.
On site, but also in different regions in France that worked for the rebuilding of the Notre-Dame.
When I walk into this as a tourist, if I come back here, will I be able to tell the difference between what was standing originally and what was restored?
It's very important that we feel that the monument has 860 years. It's not something new. It's cleaned, but it doesn't look as something new, you see?
To really see what he's talking about means getting closer and lower. It's back into the elevator.
We restored and we cleaned the inside of the cathedral, which was very dark.
Because of the fire? Because of all the soot?
No, because it was just before the fire.
Right.
But when we restored, we had the opportunity to clean also and to restore a lot of things. You will see it.
This is not a man with a lot of time, and he's not a fan of standing still for long. So bear with us as we race to keep up through the treasure of Notre Dame.
You see, the top, it's all new. All new.
Okay.
But the big rose, it's old. So you don't see a big difference.
And the glass was okay? The stained glass was okay?
Totally okay. The fire was at the bottom.
That's extraordinary.
Ici, no damage.
That's amazing.
Nothing was damaged here. The fire was at the back. It was upstairs, the framework, the roofing. The facade was completely preserved from the fire. We didn't have to do any work on the facade.
Come visit for yourself. You'll be able to soon, and it's promised you won't be able to tell where the fire had burned.
It's going to be very emotional.
Yes, the reopening will be moving, that's for sure.
Genuinely not a stone untouched. The optimistic thought it might take 20 years to restore, but 5? To believe in that is to have faith. Notre Dame will be back. The fire just a sad note, but far from the end of the story. Well, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump is among those set to attend this weekend's reopening celebration. Trump announced the trip on Monday, his first foreign visit since winning the U.S. election. Next, what an astronaut describes as cosmic fireflies.
It's the same phenomena that you lie out on a dark night and you'll see a satellite passing overhead.
The science behind the spectacle in our moment. So this video was taken by Don Pettit, an astronaut on board the International Space Station, who described those lights as cosmic fireflies. Well, it turns out the phenomenon comes with a pretty simple explanation. So we spoke to CBC Radio's Bob McDonald to take us through it, and tonight, the celestial scene makes our moment.
These are Starlink satellites that are reflecting the sun. This is the latest in a whole line of spectacles that astronauts on the International Space Station see. They see city lights spread out like galaxies. They see lightning illuminating clouds. They see the northern lights like laser beams shining up at them. It's when the satellite is still in the sunlight, but you're in the darkness. It's the same phenomena that you lie out on a dark night and you'll see a satellite passing overhead. Just sunlight reflecting off the objects in space. While this is very entertaining for astronauts, for astronomers, it's a supreme pain in the neck. They're trying to look out at the very edge of the universe. These Starlink satellites are now passing through the frame of the telescope and making streaks. And this is interfering with their data. The more objects you have, the more lights you're going to see. How long are we going to let this progress before the Earth becomes completely covered in artificial satellites?
Okay, interesting question there, Bob. There are currently something like 6,700 Starlink satellites orbiting Earth. And here's a stat. SpaceX owns more than half of all satellites in orbit. And there are more on the way. From all of us at The National, thank you for being with us. You can watch anywhere, anytime on the free CBC News app and subscribe to The National's YouTube channel. I'm Adrienne Arsenault.